Hello and welcome to this AfterMaths episode of the Primary Maths Podcast, the show where we talk all things primary maths. I'm Jon Cripwell.
I'm Becky Brown.
Hello, Becky. How are you this week? Can we still say Happy New Year? It's the 9th of January today. Can we still?
Well, I think we
still
can.
say Happy New Year.
Absolutely.
Surely
Happy
it's
New
got to
Year
be the
to
last
you.
week for Happy New Year's, though. Otherwise, we could just be going on all year saying Happy New Year.
Yes.
There's got to be a cut-off. Right?
Yeah, let's make it this
happy
week.
to say it, but there's got to be a cut-off at some point. You can't just have the whole Happy New Year indefinitely. That's
No.
madness.
Well, this is the first full week of term, isn't it, for most people? So I think this week is the cut-off.
That's
We're
true.
still in it.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. I did miss a little bit, actually. I do like the start of a new term in some ways. I know we don't like going back to work and things, and Christmas is lovely, isn't it? And although it can be a little bit busy, I think sometimes Christmas, certainly the first week of the holidays, can be a little bit busy, can't it? Particularly if you've got a lot of family or friends or something to see or children to entertain and things. And then you get that kind of odd bit where nobody knows what day it is and you're just existing on leftover mince pies and
Cheese.
whatever you've got left to drink. Yeah, cheese, lots of cheese. And so I used to quite like getting back into school and having some of that little bit of routine reinstilled because it made me feel a bit more in control, I suppose. And I had to shave and things, and actually make myself look presentable.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see everybody and say Happy New Year. And one of my things, I was assistant head, and one of my self-appointed roles was to go around school pretty much every morning and say hello to everybody and make sure everybody was okay and things, because that's just what I enjoy doing. After New Year, the first sort of day back was always nice to catch up with people and things and say Happy New Year. But I reckon, because I was in school 5 days, by the Friday, it very much felt like I'd been back for the entire term already. Like,
It really,
that holiday was a distant memory.
Yeah, it doesn't take long, does it, to get back into a routine? I'm the same. I love routine and I really enjoyed the holidays, but we were all in this household very much ready to get back to some form of normality, I think, this week.
Yeah, you can have too much of a good thing, can't you? And I was always, I always felt, it'd be nice just to have another week, but I sort of feel like however long the holiday was, another week would be what I needed in order to get everything done because I just never got everything done. So if you have been back in school this week, I hope it's been a good one. I hope everybody's settled back in. And I'm sure it feels, as I say, like you haven't been away at all. However, I always felt the spring term, it was busy, but it was shorter than the autumn term generally, wasn't it? I think here in Derby we've got a 6 and a 5, something like that, which doesn't feel as bad as the autumn term.
Yeah, that autumn term is epic, isn't it? It's really I always used to think, but it's more than a third of the year. We're more than a third of the way through because we've actually we've broken the back of it by the time you get to Christmas holidays.
But it always seemed to ramp up as well. There were more things happening as you got closer to Christmas, with concerts and performances and that sort of thing. There was no sort of, I know people used to say winding down to Christmas. There never felt like there was any sort of wind down to Christmas. Maybe the very last day of term, but that was about it. So I hope everybody's feeling refreshed. It is a new year, 2026. This is the first AfterMaths episode of the year, but it's not the first podcast episode of the year because we did have on Tuesday a fantastic interview with Emma Lockhart that we will talk about a little bit later. And what else are we talking about today, Becky?
So I've got a little bit of Maths of Life to share with you later, Jon, after a trip to the coast last weekend. Very, very cold trip to the coast at Weston-super-Mare. And love to talk about the interview with you, with Emma. I've thought some really good takeaways from that. And also, I'm interested to know about your New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, well, have you made any New Year's resolutions this year?
I haven't this year. And I always make New Year's resolutions, but this year... No, I didn't. Well, I suppose I have. The usual thing after Christmas, there's been lots of overindulgence, just the usual trying to get back into a bit more of a healthy routine, but nothing really specific this year, which is unusual.
Well, I stopped making New Year's resolutions a few years ago because I realised I'm not great at sticking to them. And it seems I'm not alone. So I did a little bit of research into New Year's resolutions, just some of the numbers around them. And I thought we could also talk about teachers' New Year's resolutions as well, because
Great. Yeah.
Teacher Tap released some data this week about teachers' New Year's resolutions. No major surprises, but worth having a little bit of a think about. And I also wondered, if I was still in the classroom, what my New Year's resolutions might be this year as a primary math specialist. So um, to start off with then, who do you think, well, I'm going to start 2026 as I mean to go on,
No.
Becky, by putting you on the spot. Who do you think, which country, America or, so the USA or Britain, which population do you think is more likely to set New Year's resolutions?
Well, I love that you've given me a 50-50 chance, John, although sometimes that makes it worse when I get it wrong. I think the US are more likely to
And we
set
will
them.
start the year as we mean to go on, Becky. Unfortunately, it's
Wrong.
Britain's. Yeah,
Oh,
wrong. It's Britain's. So I was surprised by this. So this is a poll that I found. It was based on the YouGov poll. I'm not sure that YouGov did the American survey, but they've obviously linked that from somewhere else. Anyway, as of January 2026, roughly 31% of Americans set New Year's resolutions, but a whopping 72% of Britons, apparently, who were surveyed,
wow.
said that they would have a New Year's resolution this year. No huge surprises probably about the top resolutions. So the number one ranked would be to exercise more. I wonder how many of our listeners would have that as their New Year's resolution. It could be really tough, can't it, when you're teaching? I used to find time
Find
to
time.
fit in. Yeah, absolutely. Before I had children, I would go before school, and that was quite nice. I go to the gym before school, but once children came along, I kind of needed to be there to get them out the house and to school in the morning. So that time went, and then after school, at some point you are going to probably be doing more work, aren't you? So yeah, quite difficult to
Yeah.
fit in exercise. So the number one resolution for both Americans and Britons, about 23% of Britons said that they would like to exercise more this year. Coupled with that, in the third spot, eat healthier. So I would say that you're probably there with all that cheese that you were mentioning earlier,
Yes.
consumed over Christmas is probably prodding people towards. We did say, didn't we, in the Christmas episode, that was it something was it something like 3 kilos
It
people
was,
put on over Christmas or something? It was ridiculous. Yeah, 6 pounds or
yeah.
something people put on over that
Yeah, I
Christmas
think it
period.
was.
So maybe no surprises that we want to move more and eat a little better in January. So that's number one and number three. What do you reckon number two might be?
I think it might be more of a well-being one, maybe spending more time with loved ones or something like that, maybe?
Okay, well, that is in the top six. So sixth
Okay.
place, spending more time with loved ones, cited somewhere between
Something
15 and 40% of people.
okay, something financial about
Financial, yeah.
spending less?
Number two, saving more money. Not spending less, but saving more.
Okay.
So in the UK, 31% of working people plan to reduce monthly spending, which is up from 26% last year. And it's a top priority for between 21 and 46% of Americans, which is quite a wide range there, but yeah. And then in fifth place, improved mental well-being. So this apparently has become a bit of a staple goal over the last few years. Lots of people prioritizing happiness or good mental health, which I think is is a good sign. All right, I'm gonna gonna put you on the spot two more
Oh,
times, Becky, and
okay.
then I will give you a break till next
Yeah,
week.
okay. Thanks, John.
Which demographic, in terms of age, do you think are more likely to set New Year's resolutions? I'm not sure if we talked about this before Christmas, actually,
I mean,
but
if we
yeah.
did, I haven't remembered.
Okay, well, that's
Uh,
good then.
okay. I think, oh, well, I don't know what the brackets are.
Well,
Am I
let's
going to go?
say, so Gen Z, which is 18 to 28, and then I suppose you've got, um, I don't know what the other ones are. I
Millennials?
know
Is it,
Millennium, yeah.
yeah, I don't know what
Just
comes in
let's
between.
say 18 to 28, 29 to let's 40-ish. This is not an exact science. 40 to 60, 60 to 80, and 80 plus. Which of those demographics do you think are more likely to set a New Year's resolution this year in 2026?
I'm going to go for sort of the 28 to 40 range.
It's Gen Z, 18 to 28.
Is it? That's surprising.
95% of those surveyed said that they would set a New Year's resolution this year.
Oh,
But
okay.
my theory on this, Becky, is that they just haven't realised yet how likely they are to quit their
Break
New
them.
Year's
Yeah.
resolution and how pointless they often are. So Quitters Day is this Friday. So today is Quitters Day. We're talking about New Year's
Oh, that's
resolutions, but
early.
it's early because it's typically the second Friday in January. And obviously this year, the second Friday is the 9th of January. So that is quite early. So, but today, happy Quitters Day, Becky. We've just talked about New Year's resolutions, and today is the most likely day that people will give up on them. Only about 8 to 9% of people successfully reach their New Year's goals by year end, although that's probably higher than I would have expected. Actually, it's kind of 1 in 10, roughly.
Yeah.
It's not bad. Approximately 23% of people quit in the first week, and 64% fail to make it past the first month. So I reckon if you make it past the first month, you've got a fair chance then of actually, sticking with it for the rest of the year. Yeah, so there you go. There's some stats around New Year's resolutions. Now, Teacher Tap, as I say, if you're unfamiliar with Teacher Tap, they have an app where they send out questions. You can sign up if you're a teacher. They'll send you some questions every day that you can respond to. And basically, it gives us a little bit of an insight into what teachers are thinking at the moment. And they asked about resolutions, and they had more than 1,200 responses of people who wrote in to share their resolutions. Around 26% of teachers who use Teacher Tap said that they would set a New Year's resolution this year, so significantly lower than the sort of national average. I don't know what that
Yeah.
says about teachers and their optimism. It's uh, generally speaking, the top one was in line with the national one that we talked about earlier, which is health-related resolutions. About half of all the resolutions pertained in some way to health and fitness. Teachers wanted to move more or run or lose weight or just build healthier routines, I think. And then things around sort of drinking water, eating lunch, and, uh, generally taking care of their well-being a little bit more, which we know is a massive thing in teaching. Isn't it? The next most common resolutions were related to reconnecting with interests beyond work. So 125 respondents specifically cited reading more. And actually, I don't have a New Year's resolution, but I do have things that I want to try and do a bit more of in 2026. And reading non-fiction, sorry, no, reading fiction. I read a lot of non-fiction. Reading fiction is something I'm trying to get back into this year. So if anybody
Yeah, that's
has
a
any
nice one.
if anybody's got any great recommendations for fiction books, I would love to hear it. Others want to learn an instrument, apparently, or take up a craft or a hobby, or study a language. So yeah, sort
Oh,
of
okay.
self-improvement, Becky, is
Yeah.
up there for a lot of teachers. And then, what do you think the another key area for teachers might be in terms of New Year's resolutions? I did say this is the last
Work.
time I put you on the spot.
Is it related to work?
It is sort of related to work,
Something to
yes.
do with leaving school earlier or
Well, you are kind of along the right lines. I'll give you that
okay.
one, yeah. So work-life balance. Work-life balance. So teachers intending to set clear boundaries, leaving school earlier, protecting the weekends, so not working at the weekends, not checking emails in the evenings and those sorts of things. I was talking to somebody about this recently, actually, about how technology has completely changed the way, all these things that are designed to make our lives easier it just bog us down a little bit, don't they? And it is things
Yeah.
like checking email and WhatsApp and all that sort of thing. We are constantly, our attention is constantly being craved, isn't it? But being
Yeah.
distracted by things.
You have to be quite strict with yourself, don't you? And quite disciplined in not having things. Or, I mean, I never had my school emails on my phone for that reason. I just feel like it's a slippery slope, isn't it? And what we talk about all the time, falling into holes and things when we're researching for Maths of Life or whatever. It's so easily done, particularly on a phone because it's just there.
I
Yeah,
I did have my work emails on my phone. I convinced myself that that was so that I could keep on top of things. And also, I was a deputy safeguarding lead, so I had to have the safeguarding email kind of there all the time. But what I did do, apart from the safeguarding email, I turned off all notifications from it. So I had to actually go in to check and see if there was any emails. Still would have been better if I'd not had any emails on my phone at all. But,
it's hard though,
when
isn't it?
there were
Because
times that I felt I could just have a just double check things. It did allow me to do that, I suppose. So it's swings and roundabouts, isn't it? But
yeah,
I do agree. If you can stay away from that sort of stuff, it's got to be far better for your mental health, I think.
I think there is a bit, and not just with work really, but a bit of a fear of missing out element of that, isn't there? If you're not on social media app or something, you might miss something really important. Of course, you won't really, but there is a little bit element of that, I think.
So I did have a think about what my typical New Year's resolution was for teaching. Um, every year, I told myself that I would stay on top of things more, so that I didn't feel like I was drowning. And every year, I pretty much failed to do that. I think probably by February half term. But I started with good intentions. Um, but I think there's a balance to that because that staying on top of things often involved me working through my lunch, not going out of the classroom, staying in my classroom to mark books and do those sorts of things. And actually, in lots of ways, in terms of my well-being, I was better taking a break and going out and speaking to people and actually having connection with other people and things. So, um, although that then meant I had to catch up in my own time sometimes, I think it can be difficult to be in your classroom from kind of 7:45 in the morning till 5 o'clock at night and not see other people and speak to other people and things. So there was a
It can
trade-off
be
for me personally there.
yeah, it can be a very lonely place, can't it? Despite the fact that it's often very full of children most of the time, it can still be very lonely. I think finding that balance is hard, but quite important if you can get it. I don't know if anybody gets
Yeah.
it quite right, but
No. The other thing that I always swore that I would do was stay on top of my working walls more than I managed to do. And even though I made it incredibly easy for myself, particularly in maths, by using flip charts, so that I could just take it off the flip chart and put it on the working wall, I still found myself falling behind with maintaining my working walls in the way. And I was lucky I didn't work in a school that expected 15 different elements to your working wall or anything like that. It was a very straightforward have something on your wall that will help the children in the lesson. And there was always things in the classroom that would help them, wherever the flip chart happened to be that we were working on, it was always there. But yeah, it became a weekly job rather than a daily job. And I always thought I should try and keep on top of that a little bit more. How about you, Becky? What would your New Year's resolution be? Were you in the classroom today?
so I think it would probably be to really consider the impact of things against the time it took. I mean, I was one of those teachers who liked things to look nice. If I was going to create a worksheet or a poster or something, I would probably spend far too long making it look beautiful. And the impact of that was very, very minimal, apart from my own, self
Yeah,
loving it. Um,
pride in
and
your
so
work.
I
That's
think I
important.
would, yes. Yeah. So I think probably just really, I mean, it's hard, isn't it, as a teacher, because you're not setting your own guidelines for a lot of things. They're set above you and out of your control. But I think the things within your control, I think I'd be considering a little bit more. What's the impact of this? Is it worth me spending time on this? Or actually, is my time better spent elsewhere? So a bit of time management, I think.
Yeah. I think that's one of the frustrating things about teaching sometimes as well. I'm not just thinking about the standards that we set for ourselves. I'm also thinking about some of the tasks that we get given to do and that you think this is taking a long time and I'm not sure what the impact is.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes that's just a question of actually asking the question, what is the impact of this? Why are we doing this? Is it going to have the impact that we want it to have, or is it to tick a box? In which case, that might be an opportunity to claw back a little bit of time. So yeah, so there you go. That could be somebody's New Year's resolution, just to not challenge things, but just ask the question that lots of people might be thinking. But if you have got a New Year's resolution that you would like to share with us, or a story of a past successful or unsuccessful New Year's resolution, either in teaching or outside of it, we don't care. We would love to hear from you as always. You can get in touch by emailing primarymathspodcast@twinkle.co.uk. That's Twinkle without an E, or finding us on any of the social media platforms. And while you're there, why not just click that button, hit subscribe, leave us a quick review, and or like our latest video. We would always appreciate that, because it really does help us to reach more teachers, which is all we're trying to do, really. So, Becky, you've got a Maths of Life for us this week. I am intrigued. It's all about your visit to the beautiful town of Weston-super-Mare, probably a bit chilly at this time of year. You did mention
Yes.
before, when we were doing our Christmas episode, that you were off to a speed cubing event. I can't see a medal or a trophy in the background. I was hoping, or a rosette, or a small
No,
Rubik's Cube with a number 1 on it. No?
no, nothing like that, unfortunately, John. I didn't beat my personal record this time. I did do a 42-second solve, which is quite fast for me. So
That, I
that's,
mean, that's, I think it will take me more than 42 minutes, let alone 42 seconds. So that's
yeah.
amazing.
So, but I also did get my first DNF, which is a did not finish because I
Oh,
forgot to start the timer on one of my solves. So, I mean, that's kind of a prize, isn't it?
that's a
But
rookie
yeah,
mistake, Becky.
I know. What was I thinking? But yes, we did go down to Weston-super-Mare. No, we didn't go down. We went up to Weston-super-Mare. And it was very, very chilly, very chilly. It was very cold by the sea, but I love being by the water, and even at that time of year. However, I did notice that the water was a very, very, very long way away. So we were on the seafront. The place for the cubing was the pier,
Right.
which is lovely. But as we were walking
You were looking
down,
forward to the
this
water gently lapping at
yes.
the pillars of the pier and things, yes?
Yeah, and the sea was so, I mean, I wasn't considering going into the sea at this time of year. I know for some
No.
people that's something, I mean, maybe one day, but it was a long way away. So it sort of got me thinking about tide times, or tides in general, actually, because we had been there at the same weekend the previous year, and I hadn't remembered it being quite, obviously in the time we're there at the weekend, the tide does change. There are typically 2 high tides and 2 low tides within a day. But I started to look into it and think about, well, how is this working? Because sometimes you can go to a familiar beach. We go to the Isle of Wight a lot, and the difference between high tide and low tide isn't that much. The sea still feels within walking distance. So I looked it up, and Weston-super-Mare does have one of the biggest tidal ranges in the world. Sometimes it
Wow.
can be up to 15 meters difference from sea level. This is not horizontal distance. Um,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
that really isn't that far. But I thought that was quite interesting. So the biggest tidal range in the world is the Bay of Fundy in Canada, which is 16 meters. So it's not much less than
No.
that, and
No,
it's
so
because of its sort
Weston-super-Mare
of
is up there, yeah.
yeah, and it's because of its sort of funnel shape in Canada. And you do have a little bit of that. Weston-super-Mare, you're looking across and you can see Wales. So there is a little bit of an inlet there. So that then took me to thinking about tide times and how that all worked. And so a solar day is obviously 24 hours. Do you know how long a lunar day is, John?
So a solar day is how long it takes us to turn once, yes, the full
Yes.
rotation of the Earth.
Yeah.
So that, so a lunar day is how long it takes the moon to orbit. I mean, that can't be right.
So a
That's a month.
lunar day is the time it takes for a specific site on the Earth, a specific spot, to rotate from an exact point underneath the moon to the same exact point underneath the moon.
Okay. No, I have no idea. I'm no clearer then.
So,
Because so the Earth's rotating, we know once every 24 hours. I know that
yes,
much. But obviously the moon is also moving. So I'm going to say
yes.
that it's longer than 24 hours. I don't know how much longer though.
Yeah, that's exactly right, John. It's because the moon is moving as well, because there's two lots of movement going on. It takes a little while for the Earth to sort of catch up, and it's an extra 50 minutes.
Okay.
So
Oh,
it's
so not that
24
much longer
hours.
then. Okay.
No. So 24 hours and 50 minutes, which means that you're looking at sort of every sort of 6 hours and 12 and a half minutes, you would have a low tide or a high tide. It's not quite an exact science.
Because okay, yeah, I sort of see that. So
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by how tides work, and I remember seeing a video on a social media video platform. I can't think which one, of somebody explaining it, and it's just fascinating. If you see the model of the Earth with sort of encapsulated in a bubble of water almost, and the bubble of water being pulled a little bit, bulging a little bit to wherever the moon is, and then the Earth turning inside that bubble of water, as it were, so that it's not the water that's coming in and out, really, it's the Earth that's moving in and out of that sort of lunar induced bulge of water, which is just, yeah, it's crazy to think about how
It
that
is
works.
amazing, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
it is amazing. And I did, as always, fall into a little bit of a hole looking through this. And I could go on and on. I won't because this will be far too long episode. But just thought that was quite interesting that it that I mean, I never really thought about a lunar day before. I know what a lunar
no,
month is, but I'd never really thought
yes.
about it. So a lunar day, 24 hours and 50 minutes.
Wow. Well,
So
there
there
you
you go.
go. I have learned something new today, and that is the sort of thing that I would have loved to have taken back into class and amazed or bored the children with, depending on their particular leanings. I do remember just thinking about that low tide thing. Probably when I was about 14, I went on a youth club camp adventure holiday thing in Wales, where we did lots of climbing and walking and memorably, terrifyingly potholing, which I said I would never ever do ever again. Just yeah, I don't mind caving, but being in a yeah, no, potholing was not for me. Anyway, we were very excited to get there. There was a minibus full of us, probably 15 kids in this minibus. We'd all kind of got our shorts and t-shirts on, ready to get straight onto the beach as soon as we arrived there. And the minibus pulled up next to this desert, I have to say. There was a lot of sand, and in the very, very, I'm not even kidding, kind of on the horizon somewhere. This it must have been just opposite Weston-super-Mare or something like that. It must have been a very big difference in the height of the water, because it was so far away. We all started running towards it, and then kind of eventually all slowed down into a bit of a walk and then a plod. And then we kind of gave up and thought we'll wait for the water to come to us, and we just kicked a ball about instead. But yeah, it was, yeah, I've never seen a low tide like that. It was frankly ridiculous. And I don't think they should have referred to that as a beach, a coastal, a coastline, really. The coast was much further away than than it advertised itself to be.
Yeah,
Um,
probably was in a similar place on the sort of
yes,
the Severn
yeah,
Estuary is known for having very far away
yeah,
tides.
I'm guessing so. I couldn't tell you; it was a long time ago, but yeah. So this is the part of the show where we talk about the key takeaways from our interview episode this week. And this week I was joined by the brilliant Emma Lockhart, who is the head of maths at Mill Hill School in London, and she was talking to me about. Well, actually, Becky, the first time I met Emma was at a maths conference, and she was talking about why some people feel that they are comfortable saying that they don't like maths. And so I went to her workshop, and I thought it was really interesting. I thought I'll get her on the podcast, and we can have a chat about that. So she is a secondary school teacher by trade. So it wasn't as much of a focus on primary maths, perhaps, but I thought that a lot of the key messaging from it was equally applicable wherever you were teaching, really.
Yeah, I think the same, John. Although it wasn't maybe really focused on what happens in a primary classroom, I think you've. If I found myself thinking when I was listening to the interview, oh yeah, we've talked about that before, or that's come up here, or we've talked about that, and I think there is, a lot of correlation between the same sort of messaging and the same sort of maybe issues going on, regardless of the stage of education. It was a really interesting listen.
Good. I'm glad you thought so. I hope the listeners did too. What were your key takeaways, Becky?
So I think one of the main things for me was talking about, and Emma, interestingly, was talking about maths. I think it was maths camp. I can't remember if she called it that, but being selected to go and do a maths adventure, if you like, and then maybe that not being top of her list as a teenager. And I get that, and I think I just wonder whether a lot of the issues maybe are around the reputation that maths has. I think, is it really? Is it? I don't know if cool is even the right word to use. Oh my goodness! I hope my children aren't listening. They'll be cringing. Um, is it really the right thing? Is it cool to be good at maths and to like maths? I mean, I think, luckily, in these days, maybe with more social media, actually, it can be cool to be good at anything because you can find people in the public eye or famous people or, people. It's easier to find your people, isn't it? But I wonder if that reputation has a lot to do with people maybe not pursuing it or getting to an age where maybe, oh no, I don't think this is for me. I'm going to do something that maybe other people perceive as more fun, maybe. I don't know. I
Yeah,
think reputation.
yeah, no, I'm with you, and I think it's something that's been around for a little while. Interestingly, one of our upcoming episodes is with Dominique Miranda, who you may or may not have come across, but she and her partner run Sums. That's SUMS. See what they did there. Sums of Anarchy, where she creates very, very appealing maths content videos for just for people who are interested in maths, but also for people who might be doing their GCSEs or A levels or 11 plus or even SATs. Um, and I think she is one of the sort of new wave of, along with ourselves, Becky, new wave of maths communicators that are making maths a little bit cooler. You've got people like Tom Rocks Maths and things as well, who are trying to do that sort of work. But we know that these things, this cultural change, takes a long time, doesn't it? And so I thought it was interesting what she was saying about particularly girls often opting out of wanting to be seen as mathematicians earlier than maybe some of the boys, and not because of any sort of lack of ability, but just because, well, Emma's point along this line was that they potentially internalize mistakes differently, or more sensitive to classroom norms is kind of what she was saying, but. Uh, that kind of perception that around getting things wrong and maths being a right or a wrong subject, um,
Yeah.
and
It,
how that can impact particularly on, and I know we're generalizing here, and we have to be really careful when we're talking about gender and those things, that we're not generalizing too much, but the data shows that there is a difference in uh, the numbers of boys and the numbers of girls who go on to study maths beyond GCSE, beyond the time when they have to study it.
yeah.
And it's not about ability.
No, and it was interesting. I mean, regardless of gender, interesting to think about, and it made me really think about how some people will focus on the positives and some won't. I mean, that's just life, isn't it? People will take different things away from it, and we know that teaching and learning styles, there's a massive range of things, and some work for some children and some don't work for others. It reminded me of I had remembered, and I hadn't remembered lots of details about it, but there was a footballer who was very, very good at mental arithmetic. I did have a quick look, and it was Manuel Akanji. I can't remember which club it was. I'm really sorry if you're listening. Maybe you could let us know. But it became a really big thing that this footballer was really, really good at mental arithmetic. And it was like, this is brilliant. And I remember the interview with him was him saying that he thinks the reason started was because his teacher would set competitions. And that was really, I guess if you're a professional footballer, that competitiveness is really important, isn't it? And I started thinking, actually, that really would work for some people. Some people that would really push them forward to be better. But equally, and I don't know if there's a gender gap here or not, but equally for some people, that would be terrifying and actually might push them the other way. So I think experiences probably have a lot to do with it. We don't realise, do we, how much little things can maybe impact different people.
No, and that's where I think, although Emma was talking with experience from secondary school, I think that these beliefs can start much earlier, particularly in primary school. We know how formative those years are at primary school. And so I think we've got a huge role to play in helping pupils understand that maths isn't always a right and wrong, true or false kind of subject, and that there are ways that we can use maths to explore ideas rather than just trying to find a very specific answer all of the time. And how we respond to failure and how or perceived failure or incorrect answers and things as teachers can have a huge impact on how pupils perceive themselves as mathematicians. So yeah, so I thought there was lots to take away there. Becky, Manuel Akanji, I think he's currently out on loan at the moment, but he's a Man City player. So if
Thank you.
anybody has been shouting that at their listening device of choice, he's a Man City player. It took me a minute, but yeah. So yeah, if you haven't heard that episode yet, I do encourage you to go back and have a listen, because there was lots that we covered in it, and I'm really, really grateful as ever to all of our guests, but this week particularly to Emma Lockhart for coming on and sharing her expertise with us.
Yeah, and we hope you enjoyed today's AfterMaths episode. And if you did, as Jon mentioned earlier, please do share it. And if you have time to give us a really quick rating or review, we do appreciate it. And we do also love talking about listeners' comments. So please do, if you have some comments on anything we've talked about today, do let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be back on Tuesday. We are going to be, please don't unsubscribe now when I mention this. We're going to be talking, aren't we, Becky, about how we can support pupils and teachers preparing for those Key Stage 2 tests, because they feel like they're a long way away now, but, we're in 2026. It's the spring term. We thought it was worthwhile just talking a little bit about SATs. So we will be doing that on Tuesday, and then we'll be back on Friday with another AfterMaths episode. So thank you very much for joining us. As Becky said, we hope you have a good weekend, and we will see you on Tuesday.
See you next time.
Thanks. Bye.